Okay, so we just created our website in Illustrator and we exported all of our artboards as Photoshop files. And so what we've got here is you can see each of these correspond to artboard 1, 2, 3, 4, i.e. home, about, contact, and gallery. And I'm going to go ahead and just name them as such. So the first one's home. This is about. Note that I'm doing these all lowercase and very simple. Contact, and then this last one's going to be gallery. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start by opening home in Photoshop. And what's cool here is you can see that okay, a lot of times when you export from Illustrator into a Photoshop, sometimes the layers don't come through very neatly. So you can see this is labeled as rollover, but that's actually my content. So I'm just actually going to drop that into content. All right. You can leave the heading there. It doesn't really matter. The main things we're going to want to play around with is our rollover graphics, which are these folders here. And then we've got our navbar here, which is important. So I'm going to go ahead and select all 4 of those folders, and I'm going to click another folder, and now they're grouped in a group. And that's actually my rollover. And at this point, you can label things. It's not going to be as critical, but can't hurt. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to go through and we're going to use the slice tool to slice up our navbar. And then we're going to export with the rollover off and then on. And that's going to be the start of turning this into an HTML file. Now, if you look, when I created that rollover state, it has that drop shadow, and that goes well beyond the text. It comes down to about here instead of being right on it. So when you create your slices, let's start with rollover on, particularly if you have something like an effect that makes it go outside of the original navbar state. So we're going to go here, we're going to click and hold down on the crop tool and go down to the slice tool. And I'm going to just draw slices over these. Now make sure I'm not going so tight that I'm chopping off that shadow. Okay, it'll look weird later. And you don't have to be perfect and consistent about these. This is basically just going to show the area that goes activated when you hover over it when it becomes a web page. Okay, so now I've created my slices. I'm going to turn the rollover layer off. I'm going to go to the File menu, and we can go ahead and just save real quick. Never hurts to save. But now we're going to go Export, Save for Web. And remember earlier we were making a web page that the width was 1920 for the pixels. Set that to 1920. The height for original file happened to be 1080, but if you ended up scaling your content lower, just let the height do whatever it wants. Just make sure that the width is 1920. We're going to set this format to JPEG. And then we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now I'm going to make a new folder. Go into the right area and go to graphic design. This is going to be my web HTML export with today's date. Okay. And then right now I'm exporting my home page, right? So home.html is the file name I like. We'll leave that. We'll go ahead and save. Now if we go into that home folder, what you're going to see, HTML export 5.7, is that we've actually got an HTML file. And if I double click on this, it's going to open up in a web browser. And this is actually a web page. Now it doesn't do anything, but it's a web page. And then if I open up the images folder that it also created, you can see that those slices actually came out as individual JPEGs, right? So this is the entirety of the website gets basically chopped apart into different pictures, and this HTML site shows it how they go together in a web browser. Okay, so then the next step we're going to do is we're going to export again with rollovers on. Now with rollovers on, we'll do export, save for web. We're going to save it in the same location. Make sure that we change our width again to 1920. So same location, we're in that same folder. This time I'm going to call it Home A, and I'll show you why. I'll go ahead and save, let it do its thing. Now if we go into that folder, you can see if we go into images, we have this file home_03 and home_A_03. They're the exact same size and shape, and it sort of looks weird in preview. Disregard that. But basically, they're the exact same size and shape, and when we go to create our rollover graphics in Dreamweaver, they will align perfectly without putting weird giant gaps in the web page and messing everything up. Okay, so we'll go back here, and I'm going to go, and I can actually delete Home A. That is not necessary. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just repeat. So go into your website test folder. We're going to open up the second one in About. I am going to have rollovers on, which I know is these 4 folders. Put them in there. Drop that down. Yes. Slice, 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 slice. Okay. And then let's go ahead and save. Turn rollovers off. File, export, save for web legacy. Set our width to the good old 1920. Save. And then for this instance, this is our second page. It's going to be about.html. We're going to save it right in here. Bing, bing. Turn on our rollovers. Export, save for web again. I'm going kind of quick because this is just a repeat of what we did in 1920, and save. So we're going to basically do that same process. Now this will be about A. Save. If it pops up with this spacer thing, just replace or whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, and then if I go into my website folder, my HTML export, I can delete the file with the A after it, and now I've got my About and my About rollovers. Right. So we're going to go ahead and pause here. You're basically going to do the same thing with your contact page and your gallery page. And once you've got all your slices created in that same location, and you've done it with the original, contact and contact A export, everything at 1920, we're going to take our next step up in Dreamweaver.